Ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, boys and girls. I am Commodore, and I hope all is war and well in your world. I'm here to entertain, maybe make you laugh, perhaps a smile or two. But if you'd rather go watch someone else, then I can't blame you.
Ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, boys and girls, I'm Carbonor. Welcome to my channel. I hope all is warm and well in your world today. Things are okay here. You join me for the first episode of what I am calling Did I Like It? And the focus of the first episode of Did I Like It? Is the Backrooms. Yes, I went and saw this movie this past Friday, opening day. I had been looking forward to it pretty seriously, pretty hardcore. I'm a big fan of the Backrooms and the Kane Pixels version of the Backrooms. I very much like it. It's I guess maybe it's not for everybody. The Backrooms in general, not specifically this movie, but the lore, the creepy pasta, I guess you could say, of the Backrooms in general. It's not for everybody, I'm sure, but for some people, I think it's a fascinating thing. It's horrific. It's frightening. It's all the things. It's all the things. Personally, I prefer Kane Pixel's take on it. I find him to be the definitive content creator of the Backrooms. I know there is a community creation aspects of the Backrooms as well. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm just going to let you know I'm not a big fan of that because a lot of times it plays out much the same way the SCP does, in that it's just a constant one-upmanship. It's a constant, hey, you did this, well now I've made this level that's even more badass than your level. Now I've got this monster in my level that's stronger than the monster that's in your level. And it's just a constant thing like that, and it gets old very quickly, much like with SCP. When you start looking up level 1 million and level 000.1 and when you're starting to look up things like that, it just gets dumb. And the whole idea that you can if you find the right door on this level, it'll take you to the next level, and you can keep progressing through all these levels, and then one day maybe you'll find your way home. Well, the problem with that is when you have people creating infinite levels, how are you ever going to get to the end? Well, you're not. You're not, is basically how that goes. So when this movie was announced, I was very excited. And when it was also announced that Kane Pixels would be the director and essentially in charge of it, I was like, oh goodness, goodness. This could be cool. This could be good. So here we are. I'm gonna give you a basic overview and review of the movie, what I thought of it, and in the end, I will let you know, did I like it? This is my first one of these, by the way, my first movie review. So there's going to be, a little bit of, there's going to be a little learning curve, I think. It's a good way to say it. So bear with me. The movie starts out much like you hear somebody panting, somebody's kind of panicking, you hear them breathing heavily, that they sound a little hectic, a little frantic. running through the back rooms. And you can't see this person, obviously, as the videos go for the backrooms videos. You can never see who the person is. Occasionally they might speak, they might holler, when they hear something, be like, is somebody there, or something like that. But you never really see who's behind the camera. Even after they meet their, ultimate demise, you still have no idea who the person was. And that's the way this opens up. We have this person frantically running through the back rooms, and something is clearly after them. They go through a couple of rooms, they experience a couple of weird things, and they finally find a crack, a pathway, a wall, an entryway into another separate room where there's a lot of equipment and everything. So if you know anything about the back rooms, you know that there is a company called Async that has basically, it's not real clear if they created the back rooms or if they somehow tapped into it. I don't think that's ever really fully been established. I'm a big fan of it, but I don't of the back rooms. Like I said, particularly Kane Pixel's take on it. But I'm not one of those people who can remember every little kind of tiny detail, because that's one thing about the back rooms. One thing about Kane Pixel's version of the back rooms is he does not spell anything out to you. He makes his videos, and there may be something extremely important to the story and to what's going on that might be caught in like a corner of the camera. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss this. You have to literally go over his videos with a fine tooth comb and be like, okay, there's a name that pops up later in this video, or, oh, there's a set piece that kind of is familiar from this, and that makes sense, So you have to do a whole lot of investigation on your own. It's not just going to be spelled out for you. And I very much like that. I like the mystery of it. I don't necessarily want to know, how would you eat if you were in the back rooms? How would you drink if you were in the back rooms? How would you, do this or do that? I don't necessarily want to know those things, because the mystery is what makes it so captivating and so, you know, intriguing to me. And much like those videos, this movie follows along in that same vein. So this gentleman stumbles upon one of the hubs that the Async set up within the back rooms. They have like communication equipment. They have, those big cases of stuff, equipment. There's wires everywhere. There's lighting. There's, all kinds of shit. So this guy, as he's stepping over something to get into this room, you notice that he's wearing one of the yellow hazmat suits, which is synonymous with the back rooms, is the researchers wearing these full body, completely faceless hazmat suits. So he runs over to the equipment and he starts, basically saying, help me, help me, help me. I got separated from everybody. I've never been this far in before. I need help. Please come get me. Please come get me. He's fucking panicking, which is all, in my opinion, is the horror of the back rooms, is the fact that you just going about your business one day, you step through a portal, and the next thing you know, that's where you're going to die. You're in this place that goes on forever. It's constantly changing around you. It makes no sense. It basically bends your brain because of the fact that everything around you makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's the horror of it in my mind, is that as soon as you're in it and you turn around and you're like, how the fuck do I get out of here? And you realize you can't. That's the horror of it. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have something in there. I'm not saying that there can't be a monster that chases you, like the cable monster, or sometimes it's called the virus monster from the very first Kane Pixel videos. I'm not against that, but that's not necessarily the horror of it. The horror of it is, I'm in this place and I'll never go home. I'll never find my way. I will never figure this out. I will never get out of here. This is where I'm going to die. And it's just going to be a slow, most likely you're just going to starve to death or thirst to death. That's your fate. That's the horror of it. So, help me, help me, help me. And then you hear something coming towards him. You don't see it. But of course, this gentleman, well, he doesn't make it. I probably wasn't surprised. So that cuts to one of our first main two characters. That is Clark and Mary are the two main characters in this film. And we cut to Mary. Mary is standing outside of what can only be her childhood home, where it is being demolished by some people. And she's remembering some of the nicer times that her and her mother experienced, particularly remembering when they had laid out the concrete for their driveway. Her and her mom pressed their hands into it to make imprints. And she keeps one. She keeps one of the imprints. Now, I don't know if there is any, it doesn't specify which one of them she picks. I don't know, it doesn't specify she took her mom's hand or she took her own hand. I'm sure something could be read into whichever one she chose to take. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't specify that. So you don't really know. It's not a big deal. Not really important. But she takes a piece of that. She's got a little, probably about a fist size square of most of an imprint. That happens, and then we tune in to Clark. Clark is arriving at work in the morning. He owns a furniture store called Captain Clark's. As he's walking towards the door, he sees somebody has spray painted "Rip Off" on the window. So he goes to work, and he's hired an electrician to come check some stuff out. And the electrician comes to him and says, "Yeah, I can't find anything that's wrong. I don't know what's going on." So they journey down to look at the fuse box, and the guy opens it and he says, "Yeah, everything's fine except for these little things right here." And if you've ever seen a fuse box, you know that like 3/4 of the fuse box is the switches that you can click on and off, right? And then down below it is there's like a frame around them, a metal frame, and then there's usually about a fourth of the size of the fuse box at the bottom. It's just it's just metal. There's nothing there. Maybe they'll have a sticker on it that tells you what's what, things like that. But on this, there are two switches that are kind of diagonally placed haphazardly on that metal square. And Clark is like, that wasn't there before. So they've mysteriously appeared, these switches. They switch them, nothing happens. Then we see Clark and Mary and what their connection is. It seems that Mary is Clark's psychiatrist. So clearly Clark is he's not in a good place in his life. We find out through the course of this session with Mary that his wife has recently kicked him out of the house. They had a big argument, and it seems that the argument was over Clark's drinking. He's apparently a little bit of an alcoholic. And as they go through, Mary decides, let's do a little role play. She's going to play the part of his wife, and they're going to relive the night that she threw him out. Apparently, what had happened is he was staying late at work, stressing over the job. He decided to stop at the bar and have a couple of beers. Came home late, broke a glass in the kitchen, which woke her up. And then they got into this huge fight about the fact that he's paying for everything, and while she goes to school and isn't making any money at all. We saw earlier, before the electrician came into his office at the store, that he's got all kinds of past due bills, and he's things are bad. The store is constantly, perpetually empty. You never see any customers. Nobody ever comes in, and it's a massive store. I mean, it is a massive store. I mean, if you've ever been to like a big furniture store and all the floor space they have, it's huge. But the thing is that it's kind of sparsely stocked with furniture displays. There's a lot of empty space in it. Not only is it huge, but there's a downstairs that is equally as big as the upstairs, and it too is sparsely decorated with furniture. So we find out he, of course, was thrown out by his wife. And we cut back to the store where he is filming a commercial. He's playing the character of Captain Clark. You know, he's got a pirate outfit on it. He's got a really shitty peg leg that he's like hobbling around on because he's got it attached to his knee. So his leg is kind of bent and he's trying, you know, he's still trying to walk. Um, it's kind of funny, actually. And the person recording is named Bobby. Bobby and Kat are his only two employees, and they are a couple. They are together. Clark fucks up, falls over a chair, and he's just like, cut, whatever, cut. And then we see later in the evening that he is sleeping in his furniture store, which I thought was like, I was like, wow, you could do that if you owned a furniture store. If something happened to your house, you could just go sleep. You've got a bed. You've got plenty of beds to choose from. And you see him in bed in the furniture store. He's got a little TV set up, you know, in front of him. And the lights start flickering. And, you know, it's driving him crazy because that was the whole reason and the whole purpose that he called the electrician in the first place. And they start doing that again, and he runs downstairs and he's like fucking with them and he's flipping all the switches and he just decides, fuck it, I'm turning everything off. So he turns everything off. It's dark in the store. He turns around to walk back upstairs. And as he's walking, there's a very thin line of light in the wall over to his side, almost like a seam. So that's what he sees as a thin line of light. He backs up, it disappears. He moves back forward and he can see it again. He's like, okay. So he goes to investigate it. And of course, he's trying to touch it and he touches it, but his hand goes right through it. And he's like panicked. He like pulls his hand back and he's like, what the fuck? And then he decides to go on in and he's in the back rooms. Inside this room, in the back rooms, there's a shitload of furniture piled up in the middle of it, you know, just haphazardly, just thrown on top of each other. And he is very brave. I will give him this. He is very brave because if I was to stumble through touch a wall and fall through it, if I was in that situation, the last thing I would do would be to continue going forward and investigating. Because my brain, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe because some people are very literal and very reality based. They don't understand the fantastical, and so their mind doesn't immediately go to, wait a minute, I just walked through a portal, God knows where the fuck I am, where is this place, are there people here, you know what I'm saying, is this magic, is the door behind me, is this science, what the fuck is going on? I would not think that I had lost my mind because there I would not think that I had lost my mind, that I was just fucking imagining that I was in another fucking place. I would not immediately jump to that conclusion. But yeah, he's brave. He just starts exploring and looking around and shit. And he's passing through, different rooms and different segments, just fucking looking around at the weird furniture and the weird way everything is shaped, and none of it makes sense. And we find out especially that this is probably alarming to him because he is an architect. A failed architect, because he had to open up the furniture store to help pay for his wife's school that she's going through. As he's exploring, he hears something. He hears something in there walking, thunk, thunk, thunk. So he panics and he kicks it back to the room where the door was, and we have a little moment there of, oh shit, is the door still there? Because he's not looking in the right place as he's moving down the wall until he finally fucking finds it and he goes through. As you would, and see, that's the thing right there. That's the fear right there, that you just stumbled through a portal that was in your wall. It wasn't a doorway. It wasn't an entryway. There's just a space in your wall that you can pass through. Now, immediately my brain would be like, is that going to stay there? Is that going to remain there? Is that going to close as soon as I walk through? You know what I'm saying? But then again, I'm I'm inclined to the supernatural and the weird and the shit like that. So my brain is immediately going to think of all the different movies that I've seen where something much like that is played out and the person doesn't get to go back through it. But Clark, luckily for him, does get to go back through it. And the next time we see Clark is it's been 4 days. I believe they said 3 or 4 days. He goes back to Mary and he's, I guess this is his next session. He's late and you can clearly tell he is very distracted about things. And he tries to explain to her what's going on. The first thing he asks her is is essentially he asked about a 5150, which I guess is a, a commitment, being committed to an institution. How do you when do you know when you can when you can do that? And she was like, well, as long as they're not a danger to themselves, I don't it's not a thing that I worry about. So she's clearly saying that unless you're like threatening to kill yourself or somebody else, I'm not gonna say you're insane. So he's like, okay, cool. And he starts trying to explain to her what he's experienced. Now, this is another thing in Hollywood that drives me crazy about movies is that nobody ever explains strangeness properly. It's like they cannot find the fucking words to just clearly say, hey, here's what happened. There's a section of my wall that is not solid, that you can literally walk through my wall. Not a door, not a pathway. Literally, you can just push against the wall and go through it. And on the other side is this never-ending maze of rooms. Instead, he's like very vague about it. Very, very vague about it to where she's like, she doesn't have a clue what he's saying. And that's the problem. It's like look, if you're ever in a situation where something otherworldly or completely abnormal happens to you, don't try to be all flowery about it. Just be fucking straightforward. Say it in simple terms and simple words. And he ends up saying something like, it's like if you told somebody what a dog looked like and then you had them draw it, some of the parts would be accurate, but a lot of them wouldn't be. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just say, hey, you can walk through my wall. It's not solid. And on the other side is this endless maze, labyrinth of rooms. Again, just a little pet peeve with Hollywood and the fact that nobody ever explains anything in a way that people who don't know what the fuck you're talking about could understand. So it turns out that he's mapped. He's got a full piece of paper. He pulls out a folded piece of paper, unfolds it, and the paper is full of a map. So he's been doing a lot of fucking exploring. A lot of exploring. And she, of course, doesn't necessarily believe it. And he says, okay, I'm gonna bring you back proof. So he leaves and we see him visiting Bobby and Kat's house. He says, hey, I need your help tomorrow. I will pay you overtime. It's for research. And they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. So we see them the next day. They're at the store. Bobby's got his camera. Kat's like, not about it. Kat's a Debbie Downer. Bobby's kind of intrigued by the mysterious nature of exactly what is going on. We see Clark throwing stuff into a backpack, which I was like, okay, that's awesome. At least So he like puts rope in there and a knife, and he throws a bunch of other stuff in there. He's got a full backpack full of fucking supplies. I was like, okay. Clark's in the right place. His brain's in the right place. And finally, he's like, okay, are you ready? And he goes through. Bobby is like, whoa! And Cat freaks the fuck out. And he's like, come on, follow me. It's okay. It's fine. Come on in. I'm fine. I'm over here. So Bobby is immediately putting his hand up to it and sticking it through. And he's like, whoa. And then he decides to go on through. Cat finally goes through very begrudgingly. Very, very, like, she does not want to be there at all. She does not like this at all. She was already on edge, and now, her boss and her boyfriend have walked through a fucking wall. She's like, So she goes through, and they're all like, what the fuck is this? So it turns out that the research that Clark was wanting them to perform was he had found a section which was like a hallway that goes way down. It's like at a slant. So it's like a narrow human-sized hallway, but instead of going straight out, it goes down at a pretty steep fucking angle, and it's pretty far down. So what Clark's idea was, I'm going to attach this rope to you, Bobby. I'm going to lower you down, and you're going to tell me what's down there. It's pretty simple, right? So they do that. There happens to be a bed at the area that they are. They tie him off onto the bed, and they start lowering him down. And the area that he now, if you're familiar with the Backrooms, you know that largely it's fairly pristine. You know what I'm saying? Largely, there's nothing to break up the wallpaper. There's not like shit all over the walls. In some places there are, where people who have been in there have like left messages. Not saying in this movie, but in general, people will sometimes write on walls. But largely, when you're walking through this stuff, it's just clean and unmarred. Well, this section that Bobby gets in is not. It looks like the basement of the back rooms. It's dirty. There's fucking piles of clothes all over the place. You see some things that might be a body here and there in amongst the clothes. This is the style that Kane Pixels has, is that he's not going to point the camera directly at something and say, this is important, everybody. Look at this. Look at this. So something that the person holding the camera may have missed, you watching the person holding the camera, their video, you're like, oh shit, did you see that? How did he not see that? That's the kind of thing. So he's investigating, and he's making his way through this room, which isn't a big room, but then there's a big entryway up ahead of him, and the light starts flickering, and suddenly he's hearing the thump, thump, thump that we can only assume the async researcher from the beginning had heard. So he panics. He runs back towards the hallway, the ramp, and he's like, pull me up, pull me up, pull me up. So they start pulling him up. But the problem is they left the slack of the rope. You know what I'm saying? So he's climbing the rope, and the rope that's attached to him is just leaving a long trail behind him as he, the loop is just left hanging there. And they get him up there. Here's another thing. Here's another thing that drives me crazy about Hollywood. If you are ever in a fucking situation like this, and you have tied somebody off, and they are panicked and said, pull me up, pull me up, pull me up. When you get on your goddamn solid feet, untie yourself. Nothing else. Don't communicate. Don't talk to people. Immediately get that goddamn rope off of you. Immediately. No one ever does that until whatever it is grabs the rope and starts pulling the person, and then suddenly they're like, oh, get this off me, get this off me. But in every movie you see in a situation like this, the person will fucking stand there and converse with the person who pulled them up. And then what happens? Somebody grabs the rope and pulls him down, and that's exactly what happens here. Somebody grabs the rope and pulls Bobby back down the hole. And he's screaming and hollering and bloody murder. Cat's freaking the fuck out. fucking Clark's like, Bobby, Bobby. And then all of a sudden, whatever's down there pulls on the other end of the rope, which pulls the bed, and bam, they go tumbling down the tunnel. And now they're down there where Bobby was. And they pick themselves up just in time to see Bobby's body being pulled in through a door, which is laying sideways on the wall. It's about a foot up from the bottom, from the floor. And it's like a bread box. You know how a bread box opens up, the flap opens up, and then you put your bread in, you know what I'm saying, and it closes back down. Well, that's kind of what this is. You see an arm kind of going through that flap of the door, and then the door shuts. Kat immediately takes off running through the entryway that Bobby had seen the light flickering from, thinking that she can get behind it another way back to wherever that door was going. Clark picks up the camera and he starts looking around. They've now been separated. Bobby is clearly deceased, and Kat and Clark are separated. Clark's going through places. He's seeing things. He's again, because he's not been to this level, so he's seeing more things that he's never seen. And he makes it into this room where he thinks he sees people. One of them comes herky-jerky walking towards him, making weird noises, and he fucking freaks the fuck out, and he takes off running. And he eventually makes his way into this larger room, and he hears Kat's voice. She's hollering for him. She says, I can see you. I can see you. And he walks up. He puts the camera down so that it's pointing at him, and he walks up to the wall where he hears her voice coming from. And he's like, there's nothing but a wall here. And she's like, there's glass on my side. I can see you. So he's like, he's feeling around on it. I guess maybe looking for a doorway, like, what led them to the back rooms to begin with. And then all of a sudden you see somebody pick up the camera and is pointing it at Clark while Kat screams, there's something behind you. And he turns around and we cut back to Mary. Mary clearly has been worried about Clark because she arrives at the furniture store. The door is not locked. She walks straight in and she goes downstairs and finds their hub, their home base. They've got a whiteboard up there where Clark has basically put the map that he had drawn on a piece of paper. There's some other newspapers and paperwork and stuff over to the side, clearly that Clark has been doing research, trying to figure out, I imagine, what the fuck this is that's in his furniture store. And she sees that Clark has taped blue tape around the space in the wall where the doorway is. And he also did it on the other side. So she's walking up towards it, and a fly flies between her and the wall and then goes through the wall. And she's like, what the fuck? So she pushes through it and also enters into the back rooms. She is not as curious about it. She's kind of, panicked about it. You can see that she's on the verge of freaking the fuck out. But she makes her way from room to room, a few rooms, and she sees some writing on a wall, some pictures, different inks and stuff like that, which has clearly been left by Clark. As she's investigating this and reading the different things that are wrote there, you hear Clark's voice say, you're being too loud. And he steps around this corner. Then they hear the thump, thump, thump again of whatever is down there. And Clark's like, oh shit, he knows what's up. He knows what this is. She has no idea. And Clark, while they're looking towards the way that the sound is coming from, he sneaks behind her, wraps his arms around her neck and chokes her out while he's telling her this is for your own good. When Mary wakes up, she is tied to a chair sitting at a dinner table. To her left on the dinner table is this big, huge, fat dude. Clark is at the other end, and behind him is the same woman who came walking all herky-jerky at him earlier, and except this time she's just standing there, not making any noise, not making any sound. She's just standing there. And one thing about this gentleman sitting to Mary's side and this woman is that they're not quite right. The man's face looks very much like, you know, how when you have a staticky old TV and it rolls, that it'll roll vertically. That's kind of the way his face looks. He's got several sets of eyes, as if you know, you're seeing different places while it's rolled, that it's like caught. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it seems like. His face is broken up by the static that would roll like that. So he looks human, but it's not quite right. And the woman's face is much the same, but it's horizontal, or yeah, horizontal. So side to side. I probably got those two mixed up. I did, but it's side to side. So she's got like a nose in the middle, and then a half a nose on each side. You know, so you get what I'm saying. And Clark decides that he wants to reenact the role play that they had from the beginning of the movie, only this time he's a little more aggressive about his side of the argument. You know, he's a little more confident, a little more, is it confidence, or is it he's got nothing else to lose, kind of a vibe that you get from him. And he explains to her that they're not real people, that those people are not real people, that they're somehow copies of people that are down there. They don't think, they don't feel. And he illustrates this by taking his knife and just pushing it into the big guy's neck, and the dude doesn't even move, doesn't react, doesn't respond, nothing at all. And then he says, and the best part is that you can eat them. So he opens the dude's shirt and he literally just starts digging his hands into this guy's belly and ripping off hunks of it. And I can only explain it like this. It's like if you took a pound cake or just a cake in general and covered it in, like, you know, that really thick, like half-inch fucking fondant kind of icing. If you were to just grab that cake and just yank off a corner of it, you would still see that fondant line, but the cake would be attached to it all jagged and shit. And that's the best way I can describe what these pieces that he pulled off this guy were. And he sets one in his plate, one in front of the dude, and on his plate, and then one in front of Mary. That is something. Number one, these this is all something that has never been established before. I mean, there's been hints. There's been, you know, you've seen like silhouettes in certain of Kane's videos where you're like, oh, there's people in there, and but it's never been established that the Backrooms doesn't just recreate furniture, you know, inanimate objects and buildings and stuff like that. It also recreates people. I'm fairly certain that has never been established before, yet here we are, which makes one think that the cable monster or the virus monster from his original videos on YouTube, was it a person? Is it a poorly created person? Possibly. So, in the process of them sitting there and them having their little back and forth with the role play, you hear the thump, thump, thump again. And Clark immediately goes over to Mary and starts untying her. And he gets one arm loose before the creature walks into the room. And what it is it is an oversized copy of Clark in his Captain Clark uniform. It's a copy of him. Now, why his is animated, why his has its own autonomy, why it's able to move around and do stuff with intent, and the others are not, we don't know. We don't know that. That's a mystery as well. Perhaps it's got something to do with maybe people that stay in a certain location close to an entryway long enough make a, a more vivid and lifelike copy. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps that's what it is, and that maybe this fat dude and this lady, it was just like a snapshot of these people that was copied. It's not clear, but that's a theory that perhaps that I have that maybe that's why it was, because the doorway was in Clark's thing and he was living there, so he was around it all the time, that it was able to create a more lifelike copy of him, which means possibly that if you stayed there long enough, maybe the back rooms could recreate a more perfect copy of you. Who knows? So the creature comes in, and Clark is trying to reason with it. He's talking to it. Clearly they've had conversations already. The way he's talking to it is very familiar. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of puts its hands under his shoulders and picks him up face to face. All this while, Mary is panicking and trying to get that rope off her other arm so she can get loose. And just casually, this creature just starts leaning over and just, right where the neck and the shoulder meet, it just bites down like a big, huge mouthful right there. And Clark starts screaming. Mary gets loose, takes off fucking running. She runs out the front door of this house, and she enters this like, it's almost like a storage area. Like, as far as the dimensions go, it's pretty long, pretty wide room, but you know what I'm saying, longer than it is wide. And it's got the front facings of houses, maybe 2 or 3 feet sticking out from the wall. So again, a poor recreation of something like a suburb, you would say. There's like something like a road in between the walls, and at the other end is a doorway. And she starts running towards it, and she looks back, and the creature has come out of the house as well, and it's dragging Clark by his foot. And there's a big long trail of blood. So clearly, Clark's gone. Clark's dead. Gone. So she gets through the door. She runs through a few more rooms, and the creature is staying on her. It's not like close, but it knows where she's going, and it's following. And she makes it to what is a recreation, a pretty close approximate recreation of the furniture store. In the center of this store, there's lights, there's these blue fire extinguishers set up, there's wires all over the place, and you're like, wait, is this one of the hubs for async? I'm not sure. So she's kind of doing a loop-de-loop with the creature, you know what I'm saying? He's around it, coming back around the furniture and stuff, and he's just following her closely. And she stumbles over something in the middle of all that stuff, and those fire extinguishers go off. They're like shooting out white smoke. Clearly, they're not fire extinguishers, but they're that shape. They've got the funnel, that it comes through, the gas comes through, the whole 9 yards. And immediately, she starts acting woozy. So this was clearly a trap. Was it set by async? Was it set by Clark? We're not sure. We don't know. But somebody has clearly left a trap for something. And she falls down, and the creature keeps coming towards her. I mean, it doesn't seem to have worked on the creature. It worked pretty good on her, but it didn't work so well on the creature. And it makes its way over to her. And for some reason, Mary decided to bring that little brick of concrete with the handprint on it. For some reason, she happens to have it. It's been, throughout the rest of the movie, it's been sitting essentially on her nightstand by her bed. But for some reason, she decided to bring it with her. She sees it over to the side. She grabs it, and she just starts bashing it into the monster's head until she gets loose and away from him and goes through like a crack in the wall that's just big enough for a human to slide sideways between. And as she's sliding, it's reaching for her, it's trying to get her, and you see her have a look of almost acknowledgement that she suddenly realizes, oh shit, that looks like Clark. You know what I'm saying? So there's a moment of recognition when she finally gets a second where she doesn't have to panic. You know, she's safely far enough away from him, and she can look at it and actually look at it, and you know, you can tell that there's some kind of acknowledgement that that's Clark. So she keeps working her way through, and on the other end, right as if she's about to go through, suddenly that smoke is hitting her from whatever room is on the other side. So she falls in, and we see three people, two of them wearing the yellow hazmat suits. One of them is wearing a blue hazmat suit, and they're talking back and forth like, what's going on? Who is this? You know, all the while Mary is slowly losing consciousness. She wakes up being essentially drugged through this facility until she can walk on her own, and she's looking around, she's looking at rooms, she sees Clark's body, she's like, what's going on, and they set her in this interrogation room, set her at a table, and she's sitting there, and this doctor comes in and starts asking her questions, starts asking her, you know, where does she live, how did she find this place, you know, do you recognize this person, do you recognize this person? And throughout the course of this, she comes to the realization that she's not going to get to go home, that this has to be kept a secret, and this company is going to keep it a secret. And one thing that is also established that I don't think had been established before is that Async's original purpose as a company was to make MRI machines. So I'm not sure how that correlates with them having created or tapped into the backrooms, but I don't recall ever seeing that being a piece of information that's ever been shared. So I don't know. And after they're having this interview, after you see it dawn on her face that she's not going to get to go home, it starts showing sets that you have seen so far in the movie as backroom versions. You see these various different rooms that it's flashing on until finally we come to the last one it shows, and there's a copy of Mary sitting in a chair. And that's it. That's the movie. That's the movie. This is what I was hoping for. This is exactly how I wanted this movie to go. I did not want this movie to explain everything. I didn't want this to be like, okay, finally the mystery's going to be solved. We're going to explain everything. No, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. This is essentially as if Kane Pixels had made a high budget, hour and 45-minute long video that he would have made anyway. Is basically what this is. And that is precisely what I wanted it to be. Precisely what I wanted it to be. I did not want to go into this movie and it be, oh, here's the main bad guy, and they got to make it to this guy, and they've got to, you know, kill him, and they've got to deactivate this and all this. No. No. That is not what this movie is. This movie, if you're going into this movie thinking that you're going to get some kind of resolution or everything's going to be made clear to you, you're not going to enjoy it. If you're going into this movie being a fan of the cheeky, you know, uh, almost parody community creations of the Backrooms, you're not going to like it. If you go into this being a person who loves the mystery and just the fascination with it, then you're going to love it. Then you're going to fucking love it. Which is kind of where I am. It's I don't think it's a movie for everybody, but then the Backrooms is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It started as an internet meme that ended up turning into creepypasta that, you know, that ended up then turning into a community created machine all its own. But that's essentially the story. Now there are little things here and there that I left out that weren't essential necessarily to the overall story of Clark and Mary. I don't know what Mary's relationship with her mother, which is touched on in a couple of other scenes that I didn't mention, because I don't understand the relevance of it, but her mom was crazy, and I don't again, it's not made clear that that her mom knew anything about the back rooms. It's not even really hinted at that she knew that the reason that her mom was crazy was because of the back rooms. So I don't understand the connection or the reason that was shown so many times. I don't know. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing somebody review this, which I've been avoiding for the last few days because of the fact that I wanted to get my review out. I wanted to get my opinion on it and my thoughts on it before it was influenced by somebody who knows more about the lore and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing somebody just basically dissect the whole movie and tell me the things that I missed, you know, that I'll be like, oh shit. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. And probably going to start watching those pretty soon after I finish recording this video. But we come down to the real question. Did I like it? Yes. Yes, I did. I very much love this movie. I very much love this movie. It is atmospheric. It is bizarre. It is strange. It is eerie. It is tense. The actors, oh my holy God, the actors, phenomenal, phenomenal job, phenomenal job. They carry so much weight with everything that they're saying and everything that they're doing. I mean, they seem like real people. You know what I'm saying? It's they did so well. I'm so glad that they took this deadly seriously and they didn't you don't have any of those moments where like the characters look towards the camera or make some kind of fucking offhand joke about, well, it's crazy, isn't it? Or some shit like that. No, this is treated as a drama. This is treated seriously. And that is what I wanted. Now, it's apparently has been pretty successful as this is Monday. Well, technically it's 1:30 in the morning. So technically I guess this is Tuesday, but this is Monday and apparently it did pretty well over the weekend. It destroyed apparently Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It just knocked it out of the top spot. So that's good. That's good. A Star Wars movie, it's only been out a week, and the Backrooms movie helped destroy it. That's pretty fucking awesome, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to more stuff by him. Now, Kane Pixels clearly he knows what this is. He knows the story. He knows what he wants to do with it, but he's not all that, he's not going to give it to you exactly the way you want it. He's going to dole out the pieces and the clues and the stuff like that at his own pace, and you can either enjoy it or you cannot. It's basically the way it rolls, and I enjoy the shit out of it. Every video that he comes out with, I fucking watch just about as soon as I see that it's come out, because I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by this weird ass world and what it is and why. And I'm willing to go on the ride with him as long as he wants to drive, you know? So, yes, I very much liked it. I would highly recommend it to anybody, whether they were a normie, whether they were fans of the community stuff, or whether they're a fan of Kane Pixel's version of it. I would highly recommend it to anybody. Um, I'm not sure how many people are going to like it, how many people are going to get it, because, like I said, it's very much just a slice of life. It's as if you took a video that Kane had made of the person with the camcorder looking through it, and then you saw aspects of their real life before, after, during. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just the viewpoint of their camera through their adventures through the back room. And I don't know. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, big fan, big fan. So I hope this perhaps has helped you. If you were on the fence about whether or not you wanted to go see this movie, I hope maybe I helped encourage you, push you in that direction, because I would love to see this be very successful for Kane Pixels. He's very talented young man. He's got a clear vision for what he wants to do. I commend A24 for letting him just go, for saying, "Hey, here's some money, go make your thing." I commend them to no end for having the courage to do that. To take this 20-something-year-old kid and say, "Hey, go make a big screen motion picture." You know, I commend them. At A24, they've got some slot, but they're taking some chances, and that's fucking awesome. Because so much in Hollywood now is so fucking safe. It's so formulaic. It's so they they never let the heavy moments just stay heavy. They have to break everything up with some kind of comedic bullshit, some kind of comic relief, and I like that A24 is kind of bucking that. So, if you enjoyed this, if you found this helpful, perhaps maybe you could see your way clear to leaving me a like, a comment, a share, or a subscribe. Any one of those things is immensely helpful for the channel, helps it grow and flourish. But you know this, you're professional YouTube viewers. This is not your first rodeo. um, Also, if you would like to contribute to the channel in a different way, you will find links to my Patreon and my Ko-fi on my YouTube community page. If you saw something that you think something might be worth $1 or $2, that would be the place to drop it, and it too would be greatly appreciated. While you're at all that, check out the rest of the stuff on my channel. I've got over 1,400 videos, all kinds of stuff to entertain your eyeballs. I've got concerts that I've been to. I've got original music that I write the lyrics to, and I stress that 100% I write the lyrics to, and then give life to those songs through an AI app in the form of a 4-piece all-girl metal band called The Circle. You'll find 10 albums on my channel right now of some music that I'm really proud of, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. You can also find the lovely ladies of The Circle every Wednesday night on Wicked Wednesday Night. That is the female division of my original character Simulated Wrestling Federation. The men's division is every Monday for Monday Night Mania. And then I also have a female celebrity federation. It's every Tuesday Night Download. I do daily live streams except for Monday between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m.-ish, depending on my real-world work schedule, where I play the First Descendant. Sometimes chat joins in and we go farming for materials or taking on the harder challenges. But they're always giving me moral support and sometimes giving me shit for the ways that I choose to build my characters. But a fun time is had by all, and we would love for you to be a part of that community. We're building a really awesome community of some really solid gentlemen that show up on a pretty regular basis. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you should be a part of it. So if you see us pop up in your feed, stop on by and say hey. We'll say hey, and it'll be a good time. Also, every Friday between 8 and 11, I have Fall Guys Fortnite Friday. The schedule for that is going to be a little iffy, depending on, because apparently I'm going to be doing movie reviews now. And I'm off Friday, so I'm going to be able to hit the premieres of these movies. But Friday, of course, is Fall Guys Fortnite Friday, so the scheduled time for that is probably going to fluctuate somewhat. But join us for that one as well. And then I also have a shitload of playthroughs, all kinds of genres, all kinds of titles: horror, horror, action, adventure, racing, roguelite, walking simulators, gotcha games. I'm down to play just about anything, and I have a massive library of over 300 games that I've played precious little of. So if you, dear listener, dear viewer, would like to see me play something, throw it in the comments. I will check my library if it's in there, or if it is free to play, it will get bumped up to the top of the list to be rotated in after I finish the next one. It is just that easy to have impact and influence on the content produced by this channel. And it seems that I do movie reviews now. So this is the first of those. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure I will get better at it as I go. So bear with me. And I guess, ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, boys and girls, that just leaves me to say thank you once again. And I truly, truly do mean that. The continued support that you guys show this channel and me, it means the world to me. I can't thank you enough, but I'll never stop trying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, later.